Let me tell you how my life got turned upside down by a man who ain't even my real father. It all started when my dad passed away when I was 15. My mom and him weren't exactly close by then, so while it hit me hard, she seemed to handle it pretty well. When I turned 17, I joined the military. Not long after, my mom remarried this guy named Hank. Now, Hank and we just didn't click. Different personalities and all. He'd often make snide remarks and tell me to man up over any little thing that bothered me, leading to quite a few spats between us. After nearly 5 years, I got medically discharged and came back home. Mom and Hank said I could stay with them till I got back on my feet. I offered to pay rent, but they turned it down. 3 days in, Hank pulled me aside, asking what I thought a fair rent would be. I was taken aback but figured it was his house, so we came to an agreement. I kept this from Mom, assuming Hank didn't want her to know. Hank had a son from his previous marriage, Travis. Travis and I didn't have much in common, but we got along fine. Thing is, Travis got a lot from them. They paid for his school, his car, his living arrangements, everything. Me? I was asked for rent right off the bat. Felt a bit unfair, but I moved out after 3 months and met this girl named Emily. She was my first serious relationship, and I was head over heels. I was nervous about bringing Emily home because my mom can be pretty judgmental. Turned out my worries were for nothing. Emily and my mom got along great. Emily didn't have much of a family, so my mom and Hank sort of became that for her. They'd even hang out without me sometimes, which made me really happy. Hank liked her too, and it felt like we were finally getting closer. About a year into dating, I knew I wanted to marry Emily. I told Mom and Hank, and they were thrilled. Mom gave me her engagement ring, which Dad had given her, and even though it wasn't new, Emily loved it. We started planning the wedding, and for the first time, Mom and Hank offered to help financially. It meant a lot to me. 3 months later, I got a call from Hank, telling me to come over. Felt ominous, but I went. When I arrived, Mom, Hank, Travis, and Emily were there. Emily had been crying. My heart sank, thinking someone had died. I went to sit next to her, but Hank stopped me and started accusing me of cheating on Emily throughout our entire relationship. I was stunned. He said some girl had contacted Emily, claiming we've DJ, TM had been together for over a year, sharing screenshots and personal details. I couldn't believe it. I begged Emily to check my phone to see I had nothing to hide. Both Emily and Mom were crying, and I started to tear up too. Hank called me every name under the sun and kicked me out of the house, warning me to stay off his property. I was devastated after getting kicked out, but things just got worse. A few weeks later, my stepdad called the cops on me, telling me to stop trying to contact Emily. I spent weeks trying to reach out, calls, texts, voicemails, every messaging app you could think of, but nothing, not a single response. Then my stepdad called again, telling me I was never welcome in his house or around his family. I tried reaching out to my mom too, but she wouldn't respond either. After about a month, I finally got a text from my mom. She said she was sad and disappointed in me. That hurt more than anything else. Mom didn't have much family, so holidays were always spent with Hank's side. They all shunned me too. I saw their Christmas pictures on Facebook. There was Emily, looking happy with them. It crushed me. The only family who still talked to me was my dad's brother and his family, though even they seemed wary. My uncle was the only one who really believed me, and I don't think I would have made it without his support. He showed me what real fatherly love was, and for that, I was eternally grateful. About 6 months after it all went down, I moved from the East Coast to California. I needed a fresh start, away from all the pain. Nearly a year later, I got a call from a familiar area code. It was Travis. I hung up immediately. He called back, but I ignored it. It ate at me all day, though. When he called again that night, I picked up. It was awkward, but he told me Emily had been devastated for nearly a year and had only just started dating again. My heart broke all over again. Travis told me Hank had encouraged him to ask Emily out, and he did. They went on a few dates, but it didn't really go anywhere. Then Travis told Hank it wasn't working, and Hank said, "I didn't get rid of her for nothing. She's a great girl. You need to figure it out." That VDJ TMs when Travis realized Hank had orchestrated everything. Hank had gotten a girl to pose as someone I'd had an affair with, forging messages to send to Emily. Travis had found out about it a month ago and couldn't keep it to himself any longer. He planned to tell Mom and Emily the next day and had called me first to let me know. I was overwhelmed and asked him to give me some time before they reached out to me. That was last Tuesday. I just texted him back saying I was ready to talk if they wanted to call me tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm going to say or how to handle it. I expect tears and apologies, but I don't know if I'm ready to forgive. The only person I've confided in so far is my uncle. I've asked him to keep it to himself. Sorry for the long story, but I needed to vent. My therapist picked the worst week to go on vacation. Update. I'll post a longer update tonight. No calls from anyone else yet, but Travis and I had a good talk. I appreciate the support from everyone. I'll try to respond to comments when I can. Travis decided to gather some evidence first. He managed to find the girl who had posed as my supposed affair. After a lot of coaxing, she confessed that Hank had paid her to do it. She provided Travis with the messages between her and Hank, proving that he had orchestrated the whole scheme. Travis took this information to a lawyer, wanting to make sure it was solid before approaching Mom and Emily. With the lawyer's assurance, Travis went to see Mom and Emily. He didn't VJTMT start with accusations. Instead, he calmly presented the evidence. Mom was shocked, and Emily was speechless. As Travis laid out the truth, piece by piece, their faces went from confusion to horror. Mom broke down, realizing she had been manipulated by Hank. Emily was in tears, grappling with the realization that she had been lied to and had wrongly accused me. After Travis finished, there was a long silence. Then Mom started sobbing, apologizing over and over for not believing me. Emily was quieter, but I could tell she was deeply affected. They both asked Travis how they could contact me, but he reminded them that I had asked for some time before they reached out. Travis called me right after his meeting with them. He told me how it went and assured me that they were both remorseful. I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. It was finally out in the open, but I was NVDATM sure how to handle it. I needed to process everything before I talked to them. The next day I got a call from an unknown number. It was Mom. Her voice cracked as she said, "I'm so sorry, Jason." She explained how she felt duped by Hank and how she couldn't believe she had let him manipulate her like that. She asked if we could meet, but I told her I needed a bit more time. I wasn't ready to face her just yet. Emily called me later that evening. Her voice was trembling as she apologized for everything. She said she had never stopped loving me and that she had been completely blindsided by Hank's lies. She begged for my forgiveness and asked if we could meet to talk things through. I told her I needed some time, but I would think about it. I spent the next few days talking to my uncle, trying to sort through my feelings. He was supportive, but he also encouraged me to give them a chance to explain and apologize. "People make mistakes, Jason," he said, "but how they try to make things right that really matters." I finally decided to meet with them. I flew back home and arranged to meet Mom and Emily at a cafe GC we used to frequent. Seeing them again after all this time was surreal. Mom looked older, more worn down by the stress of the past year. Emily looked fragile, like she had been carrying a heavy burden. We sat down, and there was a long, uncomfortable silence before Mom started talking. She apologized profusely, explaining how Hank had twisted everything. Emily echoed her sentiments, saying she felt like a fool for believing him. She told me how much she regretted everything and how she hoped we could find a way to move forward. Listening to them, I felt a whirlwind of emotions. I was angry, hurt, but also relieved to finally hear the truth. I told them how much their betrayal had hurt me and how hard it had been to rebuild my life. They both cried, and I could see the genuine remorse in their eyes. I didn't know if I was ready to forgive them completely, but I knew holding on to the anger wouldn't help me either. I told them I needed time to heal, but I was willing to try and rebuild our relationships, one step at a time. They both nodded, tears streaming down their faces, grateful for even that small chance. After our meeting, I felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It would take time, but I hoped we could eventually find a way to mend our broken bonds. In the following weeks, I stayed in touch with Mom and Emily through calls and texts. It was awkward at first, but slowly we started to rebuild our trust. Mom left Hank, realizing she couldn't stay with a man who had caused so much pain. She moved in with a friend temporarily and started seeing a therapist to work through everything. Emily and I began to talk more regularly. We took things slow, rebuilding our friendship first before considering anything more. It was a delicate process, but it felt like we were moving in the right direction. She was patient, understanding that I needed time to fully trust her again. I continued to rely on my uncle for support. He was my rock through all of this, and I couldn't VJTMT have made it without him. He encouraged me to keep moving forward, reminding me that forgiveness and healing were essential for my own peace of mind. Months passed and things gradually improved. Mom found a new place to live and started to piece her life back together. She apologized every chance she got, trying to make up for lost time. I appreciated her efforts, though I knew it would take a while for things to feel completely normal again. Emily and I started seeing each other more often. We went on casual dates, just trying to enjoy each other's company, without the weight of the past hanging over us. It wasn't VJ Tom easy, but I could see how much she regretted everything that had happened. She was determined to make things right. One evening, we had a long talk about our future. Emily admitted that she still loved me and wanted to be with me, but she understood if I couldn't VJTM move past what had happened. I told her I still had feelings for her too, but I needed to be sure we could build a future based on trust and honesty. We decided to take it one day at a time. Slowly, the wounds started to heal. I still had moments of doubt and anger, but they became less frequent. Emily and I grew closer, and our bond strengthened as we navigated the challenges together. Meanwhile, Mom continued to work on herself. She apologized less frequently, which I took as a sign that she was starting to forgive herself as well. We began to have more normal conversations, talking about everyday things rather than the past. Travis stayed in touch, checking in on how things were progressing. He felt guilty for his role in everything, even though I assured him he was NVJST to blame. He had done the right thing by coming forward with the truth, and for that, I was grateful. A year after everything came to light, I found myself in a much better place. I had a solid job, a good support system, and I was slowly rebuilding my relationships with Mom and Emily. It was NGVJTMT perfect, but it was progress. Emily and I eventually decided to give our relationship another try. It was NVJJTMT the same as before, but in some ways it was better. We were more open with each other, more honest about our feelings and fears. It felt like we were building something stronger, more resilient. Mom continued to be a part of my life, and we worked on rebuilding our bond. She had left Hank for good and was focusing on her own healing. Our relationship was NVJJTMT perfect, but it was getting there. Looking back, I realized how far I had come. The betrayal had nearly broken me, but I had found the strength to move forward, thanks to the support of my uncle and the eventual truth coming to light. I had learned the importance of forgiveness, not just for others, but for myself. And with that, I felt ready to face whatever the future held. Of my ex's phone and found the girl. It took him forever to backtrack it. He gave her a call and got her to meet him out in public. That's where it all came to a head. She was a Tinder match with my stepfather, which I think pretty clearly indicates that he had been sleeping around on my mom. That irritated me even more for obvious reasons. This girl alleges they did not sleep together. However, whether that is the truth did not matter to me. What does matter is that my stepbrother talked to her and pulled on her heartstrings with the story and all that. For the record, she clearly knew what she was doing. Maybe the time and hearing what had happened to me really shook her up. But again, it doesn't matter to me. She told him what happened, $1,000 for a phone call. That was the deal. He told her what to say and supplied the pictures of evidence. She made the call, and that was that. My stepbrother asked her if she could tell my mother and ex, and even offered to pay her again. For the record, she agreed to do it for free, and that happened yesterday. My stepfather is on a business trip until Wednesday, so it was the four of them there. She came in and spilled it all to my mom and ex. My stepbrother said the tears started almost immediately from all three of them. After everything, he told them I was in California and that he'd tell them when I wanted to be contacted. That was before I texted him back. A little backstory for you guys to try to understand some stuff about my mother and ex-fiancée. This is in no way defending their actions, just to help some folks understand. My mother and I were inseparable after my dad passed. We were each other's rock. When I turned 16, I began to drink to kind of dull it all a bit. I told my mom we'd spend New Year's together the year I was 16 and ended up out with my friends, drunk as all hell. I got a text from my mom, who spent the night alone at home, and that was when we were never quite the same. She sent me a text about how sad she was. She was all alone, and I felt like complete garbage over it. I stopped drinking that day until after everything went to hell. She's the type of person to always need someone. She can't handle being alone. I think when her and my dad's love began to fade, I filled that void. When I was growing up and ended up leaving home, my stepfather filled that void. Then my ex. As I said earlier, she doesn't have a family, really. She had some real trust issues due to this, along with some really nasty past relationships. Despite this, she never would talk badly about past boyfriends, which I really admired. One was physically abusive, and I consider that an obvious exception. Despite being debilitatingly shy, I've often been told that I'm cute, especially by younger girls VDJ, meaning younger than me, not children. I never liked that title, as it's not very masculine, but got over it and learned to appreciate my boyish face and how often I would blush. My fiancée GC is just shy of 3 years older than me. I've always preferred older girls and never given much time or thought to the girls who seemingly liked me because they were 18, 20. This didn't stop attention, which upset my fiancée GCE. She'd often ask why I wasn't interested in these girls, why I didn't leave her for someone younger and prettier, etc. I always found her extremely attractive VDJ, significantly more attractive than me, honestly VDJ, and would always reiterate that to her and that I never cared about any other girl. Okay, sorry to get off track. That, again, I hope brings a little insight to why I think they did what they did and believed what they believed. Again, this is not an excuse for them, nor am I really all that understanding personally. At the end of the call with my brother, he said they both wanted to call today, and I told him that it'd be fine. So I sat and waited. By about 3 p.m., I was a little confused. I started to wonder if he'd made it all up to mess with me. It really worried me, honestly. I got a text from him asking if I was all good. I said yeah and asked if they were actually planning on calling today. He said they'd been trying for the last few hours. I'd blocked them both when I moved out west and forgotten. Why I didn't block him, I don't know. I'm thankful I didn't, though. I unblocked them both and got a call from my mom about 10 minutes later. The first thing she said was I sounded different. I almost hung up right then. It took all I had to just say, yeah. She broke down immediately after that. I really thought I'd feel more. I'd be lying if I said I felt nothing, but the pain of it all just took hold of me more than her words. She asked if I'd gotten her texts. I said no. I guess she'd been trying to text over the last year, but I had her number blocked. If she really wanted to reach me, she could have. Maybe that's a little shitty, but I know it's true. I pretty much told her that I'd be willing to build some semblance of a relationship back with time, and she was happy with that. She also told me she was getting all her necessities out of the house before my stepfather got home, and she'd be filing for divorce immediately. I believe her too. She may be a poor excuse for a mother in my eyes, but she's never been someone to take half measures. I really wish I could be there to see the prick's face when he comes back to an empty home. My ex got on the phone next and did the same tearful apologies my mom did. I felt a little more with her. I actually tried to get her to think and remember how many times I told her I'd never do that to her and how much I loved her. She was beside herself, and to be honest, I'm glad. We talked for about half an hour, and I really thought it was pleasant. Even though I told myself for over a year now that it would never happen again, I thought there could still be something for us. She told me she still had the ring, and it made me upset. I told her to give it to my mom because it didn't belong to either of us anymore. I could tell that really crushed her, and selfishly I wanted it to. She asked if she could call or text me. I told her it was fine, but to not expect a prompt response either way, which she understood. I pretty much gave her the same ultimatum as my mom, though. I said any chances of us having a future relationship were very slim. She said she understood that too. I talked to my brother last and thanked him for everything he'd done. He was helping my mom get her stuff out of his father's house. He apologized for all that had happened and told me he was going to go tell the rest of the family everything as well. The rest of the family I have no connection to and won't say a word to, I don't imagine, except my stepdad's mother. She's the oldest person in any of the families, and she wished me a happy birthday and Merry Christmas over the last year. Maybe she was old enough that she doesn't care, or maybe she felt bad, but I'll talk to her. Odd as it is, sorry for all the rambling. I fly home for my uncle's 60th birthday the first week of March. It'll be my first time home since I moved out here. I'll definitely plan on seeing my brother as well. I'm not adverse to seeing my mom and ex, but I've made it clear to them that I've got a lot of healing to do, and so do they. If anything further happens, I'll update again. Maybe after that trip home, but that looks like it for the time being. Also, this is kind of the last social media I have. I haven't been on here super often in the last year for the reasons I'm sure you could guess. I truly haven't seen any similar stories to mine that have been referenced in the comments, though I'd like to. If you can find them, I'm more than happy to answer any questions anyone would have regarding this whole thing to the best of my knowledge. Thank you, everyone. Brief update on February 8th. I got a call from a number back home. I deleted most of my numbers a while ago from anyone I wasn't talking with. I picked up, and it was my stepfather. He said hello, and I hung up and blocked the number. I immediately called my mom, fiancée, CEE, and brother. They're all safe, not around him. My mom is in a hotel that he doesn't know about. My fiancée, CE, and brother are at their residences, and both say they feel adequately protected. He is not by any indication a violent man, but better safe than sorry. My brother said he got a call from him this morning when he got home after my mom wasn't there, and wouldn't answer. My brother told him what happened and not to contact any of them. Not sure how long he sat there, but he called me around 3 p.m. Pacific, about an hour ago. I got a message from a different number saying, "We need to talk." I assume that's him. I haven't responded. That's the latest. Brief update on February 29th. My stepdad's mother called me. I had her number saved because of what I previously stated. I was a bit worried it may have been him trying to gather some info or something. It wasn't. She's a very sweet lady who did not have to be nice to me in any way, but has shown me compassion. She was very nice and wished me well, while also apologizing on behalf of the family. I thanked her and wished her the best, too. It's shocking he came from that woman. Update 2. My stepdad turned my family against me. All right, sorry for the delay, everyone. Work has been busy, and I just got home this past weekend. I sat on that message from what it turns out was, in fact, my stepfather. My curiosity got the better of me, and I called him. I did do what some had suggested and recorded the call using a different app. I wish I could say the call provided me something, but that, taking steps to better herself in our relationship. As for my ex, things have been progressing steadily. We continue to talk regularly and have gone on several more dates since our initial one. Each time, it's been more comfortable and natural, like we've DJ. We're slowly finding our way back to each other, but with a deeper understanding of who we are now. We've DJ TMV been addressing the hurt and betrayal, and Chev DJ and TME has been very open about her regrets and what Chev Josh TSM's learned from the whole ordeal. It's been therapeutic, not just for her, but for me too. I see a lot of growth in her, and ITVD Day TMC's made me appreciate the effort Chev DJ TM's putting into this. One thing we've both agreed on is the importance of maintaining our individual growth while seeing if we can rebuild something together. We VDJ TMD've decided to keep the relationship long distance for now, giving us both space to continue healing and growing. ITVJ TM's challenging, but I think it VDJ TM's the best approach to avoid rushing back into old patterns. As for my stepfather, there hasn't VJ TMT been any contact since that brief call. IVJ TMVV blocked every number I can associate with him, and have made it clear to everyone that I do not want him in my life in any capacity. The fact that my mom is following through with the divorce has been a huge relief, and Chevy TM has been staying with family and focusing on her own healing process. IVJTM found a new sense of stability in my life out in California. Work has been a good distraction, and IVJTMDV started picking up old hobbies again. It feels like IVDJTMNM rediscovering parts of myself that were lost during all the chaos. To everyone who has shown support, thank you. Your messages and comments have meant a lot to me. IVDJGAML continue to keep you updated as things progress, but for now, it feels like IVDJTMM finally seeing the light at the end of a very long tunnel. Update, April 10th. I know ITVDJTM has been a while since my last update, But things have been moving along well. My relationship with my brother has strengthened. We talk regularly, and he's been a huge support. My mom and I have continued to rebuild our relationship. Chevy GJTM's staying strong in her resolve to leave my stepfather, and Chev DTM's been making positive changes in her life. As for my ex-fiancée CE and me, Web DTM darts are taking things slow. The distance has actually been a blessing in disguise, allowing us to reflect and grow individually. Web DTM, we've been visiting each other when possible, and each visit reassures me that we are on the right path. Web DJ Tamar planning to attend more therapy sessions together to continue addressing the past and ensuring we build a healthier relationship this time around. My stepfather has made no further attempts to contact me, which I am grateful for. My life in California continues to improve, and IVDJ Timmy even started making new friends and building a community here. ITV DJ TMM's a long road, but I feel hopeful for the first time in a long while. Thank you all again for the support and kind words. ITBJ TSM's been a tough journey, but knowing there are people out there who care has made a significant difference. IVDJ TML update again when there VJTM's more to share. Back in my life, even if it's going to take some time for her to really be like a mother to me again, my ex, and I spent a long time trying to see what was the best way to go about things. She flew out and spent time with me in California, which was very nice at the moment. We're not together, and I think that's best for right now. As for my ex-stepfather, I really have no clue. He tried to contact my mother a few times following everything, but he never got a chance to talk. He hasn't been in contact with me at all, and for that I'm thankful. Hope I never run into him again. Life changes. I did end up moving back east for a new job, few states away from my family still, which I think is healthy. I'm happy to answer any other questions you guys might have. Thank you for all the support in this madness.